We're live. We're live. Good morning, everybody. How we doing this fine morning? Cameron, can we get some cooperation from you today? Today of all days. Let me see. Great morning, everyone. All right. Yes. Good morning, Vivian. Happy to be able to share this morning with you guys, like each and every one. Yes. Good morning, Alicia. I was trying to find some type of like birthday kind of illustration to put on there. They had like a one with Christmas presents, but I didn't. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't as applicable, so we went with the swirl. Thank you guys so much for all the birthday love. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. Like you guys really you really caught me off guard. I was not at all expecting that. Thank you for your kind words. I mean, you guys literally made me cry twice. Once just seeing the gifts. Thank you for the gift cards. My two favorite things: gadgets and food. Right, gadgets and good food. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I woke up and I'm like looking through, and also it was right before, I guess, I talked to you guys so much about when I get up and my routine and stuff. Literally right as I'm waking up, I was like, man, come on. I couldn't be more blessed. So it really, I mean, made my whole day. Like that is far and above 28. Like 28th birthday is my favorite birthday. Between you guys, Bailey made it an amazing morning. And just the heartfelt messages too. I mean, that hit even harder. I appreciate it. Much love to each and every one of you, whether you're watching live or, joining us from the future via replay. We're really just trying to get 1% better. And I know it sounds cliche. I know it's like, oh, he's saying the same thing, but that's really what I'm here to do, right? Is just plow forward. Life can be really tough. And a lot of times there are times when we wish we had people that wanted to do the same things that we want to do, like this camera trying to actually make this live stream work. But it's tough to find sometimes people that are in the same vein as you, people that want to accomplish the same things as you. And I wanted to just freaking create that, right? Create some environment where everybody's pushing each other and we're all learning and growing and holding each other accountable. And I would not have handpicked anyone else other than you guys. So I'm super just happy and blessed and excited to have you guys here. I mean, I'm not going to cry again because you guys yanked all the tears out of me. Like between that and then, messages from my dad, my family, like you guys really just over and above. So Alicia, thank you. Organizing all this, all you guys that participated, thank you. You're all super, super special. And you do as much for me as I do for you, right? There's mornings when I don't feel like getting up and doing this. And I'm like, what are my people going to say if I'm being lazy and I skip out on this morning, right? So that's why, just trying to be here and be here continuously and just show up, right? There are good days and there are bad days, right? The only thing guaranteed in life is that you will have bad days, but making sure you're surrounding yourself with people that help you get through those bad days is important. And you guys have said things to me on days, that have been less than optimal for me. You guys know there's a lot of stuff that went on for me in year 27. My mom, my sister, right? Lots of stuff happening, but I really appreciate it. I love all you guys and it means the world to me. So thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate it. Michelle, Paul, Coco. Yes. Awesome. Vivian, Dylan, Carla. Amazing. Tiffany, thank you guys so much. Yeah, I mean, that's all I got for you. I wish it was some amazing heartfelt speech, but we still got work to tend to, right? We still got things to do on the docket, things on the agenda. So I don't want to rat for too long, right? I don't want to talk for too long, but I'm super grateful for 28. And I said at the beginning of the year, I wanted to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like I wanted to do a lot of different things that just, I don't know, forced me to grow, and I've done it, right? And I've been able to do it with the help of you guys. So I hope you're, appreciating it. It's been pushing you to not feel like making content. And I've been doing that now continuously for the whole year. And I'm ready to push through and, continue to do that. And it's not easy either, right? Working with the editing team and the filming and all that. But I'm just trying to bring as much value as possible. So I appreciate you guys for soaking up that value and for being here. Now let's go ahead and get into things, right? Because the market ain't going to open any later just because it's my birthday. I'm looking down. It's 8:50. So I appreciate you guys so much. And let's go ahead and get into it. So let me see. Oh, that's funny. We're getting literally emails from everybody. You got DraftKings Sportsbook. They're like, "Hey, happy birthday! Come spend some of that birthday money, gambling." But let's dive into our first headline. As always, right? Whether watching live or via replay, make sure you throw that one. Everybody just spam ones in the chat right now if you can. Because that's what we're all about. That's what I'm all about, getting 1% better. Somebody took the time to invest in me. So I want to do that. And whoever is willing to get better, I'm going to meet you halfway, right? More than halfway. Whatever energy you give me, I'll give you. So, the more that you reach out to me, you want to make things happen. Like, I'll meet you, right, to make things happen. Opportunity meets you in motion, and all you guys got in motion enough for opportunity to meet you. Continue to do that, right? And that doesn't matter to me if that ends up being with me flooded with messages, because I'm happy to get to them. In terms of stricter rules, that's what we're starting out with here this morning. More regulation is coming to one of the foggier areas of finance after the SEC voted 3-2 to strengthen requirements on how private equity, hedge funds, and venture capital interact with investors. It's a big deal for an industry that has doubled over the past decade and currently manages more than $25 trillion in assets. Quote, economically, our investors, large or small, benefit from greater transparency and integrity, SEC Chair Gary Gensler declared. These are significant enhancements in the capital markets. In terms of a snapshot, the new regulations will require private funds to provide investors with quarterly statements detailing standardized metrics like fund fees, expenses, and performance. Firms will also be banned from giving preferential treatment to certain investors for cashing out if that practice leads to a negative effect on other investors, unless terms like favorable redemption rights are included. Funds will additionally be required to perform annual audits, while disclosures or explicit investor consent will be mandated when funds want to pass on compliance costs. This is something that's sorely needed, right? This was something that was inevitable after the whole issue with, First Republic Bank and Silicon Valley Bank, and that whole bank crash that kicked us in the gut, right? When we had those calls at weekly support. I ain't gonna forget that. So yeah, regulate these banks, right? Because these banks cost us some money, and I'm not forgiving them anytime soon for ruining our fun. But yeah, this is something that's also just necessary in order to help out the average person. You don't want to ever feel like you can't go to a bank and take your money out. It's also just you want to have more regulation because it just makes it easier for everybody, right? Makes it easier for everyone. Because we know just because you hold a certain title or something like that does not mean you know what you should be doing with your money, right? Which is very, very important. I mean, you look at Jim Cramer, dude still gets primetime slots, and he literally has an inverse ETF that does the opposite of his recommendations. They started one that follows his recommendations, and they had to close it because no one bought it, which is like just insult to injury, right? So it's just important to, kind of recognize that just because these people say, oh, I work at a bank, this, that, and the third, does not mean that they're any more qualified. I mean, when you see something like FTX, it really hammers at home as well. So let's see here. Proponents say the new rules target unfair behavior while combating opaque fees and leveling the playing field for investors. Others accuse the SEC of overstepping its authority by dictating sales practices and reducing investment opportunities for pensions, foundations, and endowments. Critics also feel the regulations could increase costs and undermine competition, though it still remains to be seen if the Managed Funds Association will initiate litigation over the plan. In terms of fine print, despite the new rules, there were some big wins for the private fund industry. Aggressive lobbying efforts resulted in several parts of the final rules being eased, like indemnification clauses that would have allowed investors to sue for gross negligence instead of ordinary negligence. Also included is a grandfathering provision, meaning existing arrangements can remain in effect. I feel like that last line is important, right? Whenever we see things like grandfathering provision or something like that, it just gives me the vibe that somebody is kind of like leaving a loophole. So we'll see if this ends up kind of going to kind of further strengthen the financial system, which saw just a lot of weakness and really loss in faith, which is even more important than the material weakness. The loss in faith of the banking system is really, really bad because that's all we have when it comes to currency, right? Money isn't really money. It's paper. It's not backed by gold. So like people have to have faith in money. People have to have faith in banks. or else the system falls apart. So that's really what they're trying to do here is just, there's some material impact in like just trying to make sure that banks compose themselves in a professional manner, but also so that people can see like, okay, they're putting up more rules so that, these regional banks that are just out here doing whatever, have some compliance they have to follow, some updated compliance, which I think is important, right? Very, very important. And I appreciate everybody else who's popping in now for the happy birthday wishes. Much love to you guys. I might turn the light up. I feel like the light is like low. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But yes, good morning. Greetings, greetings. Happy to have you guys. I'm also in a new office chair. I don't know if you guys could tell. My old one is over here. I don't know what I'll do with it yet. But I feel like funny story, just because you guys know that I'm just predisposed to injury. One of the gifts that Bailey got me was this office chair. And I'm like opening the box and taking the parts out. And I lift up one part that's like the bottom with the spokes for the wheels. I lift it up, and then the container with the wheels and like the screws is attached to it, but it's taped. So I lift it up, and that drops off of the piece that it's taped to and just hits my knee and just like cuts my knee. So it was like, I feel like it wouldn't be a birthday if it wasn't me fighting for my life versus natural selection and like chance accidents. So I got a bandage on the knee, no stitches, thank God. But I was just like, of course, right? It wouldn't be my birthday if some freak unlucky accident didn't happen, right? To like cause some type of damage. But it wasn't bad or anything. I thought it was just funny. I was like, man, of course. This is what happens this morning, but nothing's dulling the shine. To be honest, at this point in my life, I'm used to it. Like I said, wouldn't be a day without it. Lets you know you're mortal, lets you know you're alive. Speaking of being alive, and not only alive, but thriving, up and away. In AI news, NVIDIA soared 6.6% in after-hours trading on Wednesday and is extending gains before the bell today to rise 8% after the semiconductor giant reported Q2 results. Data center sales surged to a record 10.32 billion, topping the 7.98 billion consensus estimate, while Q3 sales were forecast at around 16 billion, well above the 12.5 billion that analysts were expecting. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives said NVIDIA's guidance will be the fuel, igniting a tech rally that will continue into the rest of the year, with NASDAQ futures climbing more than 1% overnight. Quote, the godfather of AI also approved a $25 billion share buyback and said it would continue to repurchase stock this fiscal year. Yeah, I don't doubt it, right? NVIDIA had lofty expectations. They rose to them and then knocked them out of the park, right? Literally took it a step further and was like, we aren't done yet. So NVIDIA absolutely crushed expectations. Again, the expected move was 10%, and it did not make a 10% move. So I don't know what that does for IV Crush. The thing is, like, NVIDIA already had that crazy shock and awe of the first earnings. I don't think we really ever get a repeat of that. I mean, that was like, the shock of AI kind of first being unveiled and like the first major ramifications of it. And that caught everyone off guard. I feel like this is something that, people kind of understand now. They're like, okay, we get where the value is coming from. We get the, expectations around this technology. So NVIDIA is one to watch, like for the post earnings strategy that we implement, that we execute. Right. So I'll be keeping an eye on it here, and I'll go into the details of this, during the pre-market loom. But if we get that classic peak below and fail, right, and we hold and push back up, then NVIDIA could make for a nice intraday play. But you also don't want to force anything, right? Things post earnings aren't guaranteed to move. You don't want to say, oh man, NVIDIA moved whatever it is, 6%, and I missed it, and now I've got a, full port NVIDIA. Don't force yourself to do that, because oftentimes when FOMO will cause you to miss everything else. There could be like 6, 7, 8 other great opportunities, but you're like, man, this one, which already moved big and might not have the propensity to move anymore, I've got to be involved in, right? So just kind of, temper expectations, be ready to execute, but don't get so locked in that you end up losing everything else. But I'd say just off of, immediate looks, if we dip down to this 498 level and peak below and then get back above, I think NVIDIA calls will make for a really nice lotto intraday day trade. So, yeah, if that's within your risk profile and it ain't too rich for your blood, that's something that you could definitely pay attention to. But yeah, it's kind of like They could sell off to fill the gap as well. I don't know. That's why you really got to take things just with and approach them from a dynamic standpoint. Like with the I always talk about that, phrase dynamic education. It's like you have a game plan and then things change and then you're okay, I'm rolling with the punches. That's, really important in this day and time. And it's especially key in markets. So we'll see if Nvidia's got anything for us today, as well as there might be, some other sectors that are kind of adjacent. They could have some moves as well. You have other tickers like AMD, right? You've got a number of different tickers just in that sector and just associated. So seeing AMD, possibly making moves, that could be a good target as well. AMD looks like it broke that daily downtrend yesterday. So if it comes back to retrace that daily downtrend today and hold it, AMD could be a nice call swing as well. So we'll keep an eye on AMD if it comes back to that 106.50 area for call entrance. Then in terms of healthcare news, meet Core Davis. I think it's pronounced, or Cordavis, I don't know, Cordavis. CVS Health has launched a new subsidiary dedicated to marketing biosimilars in the U.S. Sandoz's version of AbbVie's blockbuster anti-inflammatory drug Humira will be its first product, but CVS intends to build an entire portfolio of biosimilars, a market that is projected to grow to $100 billion by 2029. Prior to the pandemic, Humira had been the best-selling branded prescription drug in the world, but it will lose its market exclusivity this year as its patent is set to expire. The announcement of Cordavis comes just weeks after CVS reveals plans to slash around 5,000 jobs as it pivots toward health services. I mean, it sucks about the slashing jobs thing. I feel like CVS, that is definitely somewhere where you saw that coming. We've seen CVS's transform over the years. It used to be just straight human tellers. Now pretty much all of them have those, robot checkouts, and there's really more staff in the pharmacy already than anywhere else. So I feel like, yeah, this is something that's definitely within, kind of expectations for CVS. I think it's a smart pivot, right? Becoming a health services giant rather than just, they're a pharmacy, but kind of like a glorified like gas station a little bit, supermarket type deal. I don't think it's a bad deal at all. There's always tons of money involved when there's health data involved. So they'll probably get more of that. So just streamlining. I mean, this is really the growth pattern for companies now is just less humans, more robots, more AI, and more data. And that's kind of how companies are going to be constructed. In terms of energy news, lowest in a month, U.S. crude oil futures have hit 4-week lows as troubles in China's property sector add to concerns about lackluster economic data from the world's second largest oil consumer. A bigger than expected weekly drop in U.S. crude supplies still helped to ease the price decline, though implied gasoline demand in the U.S. revealed a weak showing for the summer driving season. Quote, the rally in oil appears to have run out of steam for now, ING analysts said. China's macro issues, along with a growing expectation that maybe the U.S. Fed is not done with its tightening cycle, have weighed on oil more recently. Will commodities surge back? And then they ask you to take a survey. I think that's important. That's something that we didn't immediately think about, kind of like following the news that we got with China, right? The negative news is that typically affects oil when there's like negative news about China, whether it's closing down, and the Evergrande crisis, right? Struggling with real estate. China's a huge oil consumer. So that is something that weighs on energy that I feel like isn't broadcasted as much. So that's something, to kind of keep an eye on in the wake of all this China news. Speaking of which, what are these Chinese tickers looking like? Looks like Baidu might have had some type of positive earnings or something. They didn't get any crazy bump, but let's check out Baba. It's funny. I mean, you guys saw me. I haven't touched Chinese tickers in years, and I feel like we had hopped back on them for a bit, at least with the Baba puts, right? And played them, and they've worked out pretty nicely. It's just risky, with that overnight news. But Baba honestly has a nice hourly bull flag breakout if it can retrace and hold 90.59. I like Baba above that on the hourly. Of course, it's risky, China, et cetera, et cetera. But at this point, we're kind of pushing back up. We already hit daily price target number 2. We milked BABA to the downside like some bosses. Now it's working its way back up to retrace that daily double top breakout, and it can do it. So 90.59 could make for a nice day trade today. So something that I'm also keeping an eye on now. Create a little alert for that. Bull flag breakout. Nice. And I like those more like intraday because, again, a lot of the news is coming out of China is negative. So I don't really know if I'd swing like calls on Chinese related tickers overnight. But it could make for a nice day trade. In terms of today's markets in Asia or everywhere, we're pretty much green. In Asia, Japan, we're up 0.9%, Hong Kong up 2.1%, China up 0.1%, India down 0.3%. In Europe, the footy in London up 0.4%, Paris up 0.4%, Frankfurt up 0.3%, the Dow down 0.1%, S&P up 0.6%, NASDAQ up 1.2%, crude up 0.4%, gold flat at $1,947.40, Bitcoin up 1.9% to $26,458. Today's economic calendar, we got jobless claims at 8:30. So that's important. What else? Natural gas inventory. I don't really think we have anything else significant that came out or that happened. Let me see here. NVIDIA short sellers down 826 million in mark-to-market losses as stock jumps pre-market. NVIDIA short sellers lose 11.4 billion year to date, including pre-market share move. Sheesh. Tough. It's a hard knock life out here. Let's see. In terms of jobless claims, down 10,000 to 230,000. The expectation was 240,000. So it looks like we got better than expected jobless claims. And again, in terms of like how that affects price action, that can end up having a negative effect on price action. Just because we talk about how Fed has 2 jobs: maintain full employment, keep inflation at 2%. When employment is strong, all they have to worry about is inflation. And as a result, they can just keep hiking rates. So, that might be part of the reason why, as we head into this morning, we're not as high as where we were when this newsletter came out, right? So we shall see what the market gives us today, but we want to always remain patient, remain vigilant, ready to execute. The months of August and September are traditionally very tricky months. So I want to let everyone know that, right? We've still been able to really thrive during these times. But I don't want to like write that off as like, oh, it's easy or this or that. This is tough price action, right? Tough. We're chopping in the same spot for a while. We got the rip to the downside. We made money on that. We've gotten some push to the upside. We've made money on that as well, the breaking of these hourly downtrends. There's been obviously plays that haven't worked out, right? Apple invalidating our bear flag yesterday, right? Losing money on that. But like I said, that's the only thing that's guaranteed is in this game. But at the end of the day, losing money is just that, losing money. I always advocate not trading with money you can't afford to lose, right? And then once you get over that hump, just like a post that I got yesterday, once you get over that hump, and I threw that on Instagram, so go check that out if you need to check that out. But, you do that and you're like, wow, I'm alive, right? It's like if you're scared of like driving or scared of heights or anything like that. Like I'm scared of heights. And for my 21st birthday, my mom booked me to go skydiving. And I was just like, holy crap. But I did it and I didn't die. And it's much less terrifying placing trades than skydiving, right? So you can do it. Worst comes to worst, you lose some money. But that's why the system's set up, right? Systems are set up to minimize loss, make sure that you're not giving back all of your money. That's why we make our money. We withdraw it, right? We pay ourselves. And then we come back with that amount that we already had. That way you're not blowing up your whole account and starting from ground zero, right? So all of that, I sound like a broken record, but it's for a reason. I've been there and I've done that. I don't want you to waste your time having to go through that again. In terms of what else is happening, we'll finish up with our rapid fire bullet point rundown. Senators argue marijuana legalization undermines drug cartels. Is that good or bad? I don't know what they're saying. Do they not want to undermine drug cartels? I don't know. I have no idea. I feel like that's a kind of a crazy headline. Peloton ticker PTON stock tumbles as turnaround proves elusive. Struggle bus. Boeing ticker BA identifies new production issue on 737 MAX. Is Apple the most under-owned large cap tech stock? Password crackdown, more Netflix subscriber momentum. General Motors ticker GM to shut Arizona IT center, cuts 940 jobs. Mercenary leader Prigozhin presumed dead in plane crash. I saw that. That was wild. I wonder if he's actually dead. maybe he faked his death. I knew that, he rebelled against Putin. Putin's obviously not going to let that slide. But like maybe this is the only way for him to get out. If he's really a mastermind, I would have said I was going to be in a plane, let them shoot it down, and then ducked off and lived my life somewhere in the woods. So who knows? But yeah, Russia doing Russia things. Crazy. Foot Locker, ticker FL, sinks on guidance cut, dividend suspension. Snowflake shares rises, Q2 results beat estimates. That was in opposition to what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to miss, and I thought that they'd fall. But their results beat estimates, so congratulations for them. That's another one that we can look at for kind of like post-earnings mover, right? So if we do get, for them, kind of really the same level here. It's like kind of 159 area. What is this? Like 159.16. We get like a dip to that area and then we push back above. I like Snow for that kind of continuation, right? That post earnings continuation move. I believe they are also testing. That is also daily downtrend break. Yep. So they're right now sitting over top of daily downtrend resistance. So I like it. I'm going to set a little alert guy here. And, if Snow can drop to 159.45, peak beneath, get back above, it can rip for sure. So that's another possible day trade opportunity. But I'm going to go make some Loom videos for all my people, right? All my stock options made easy people who, again, I thank the Lord for every day. You guys are freaking amazing. Oh, last headline, Shopify will now accept USDC payments. So I guess you can make payments in USDC, but I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all the love. What I need to do is go get myself a new freaking camera to stream off of, so you don't have to worry about looking at me all blurry and whatnot. But I appreciate all the love. Again, I cannot thank you enough. I'm going to show you guys picks, right, for the dinner whenever I can get a reservation for the dinner, and then I'll show you guys, what we end up grabbing from Williams-Sonoma. But thank you for the gift cards. I mean, so generous. I'm feeling the love. So I don't know. I got nothing else to say. Just know I love you guys. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. And I'm going to be here for another year, right? Going through, getting 1% better. We helped really crush some goals this past year, and I'm looking for, a lot more goals to be crushed in this next year of life. So I'm happy to do life with you guys. Love you all. Have an amazing rest of your day. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep. That's it for the pre-market prep birthday session. Peace and love, everyone. Bye.